The powerful chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Congressman Bob Goodlatte, seems to be at the nexus of nearly every major issue with which this nation is contending. And we welcome him now to the broadcast. Congressman, great to see you. Let me turn to first you and Senator Grassley sending the Department of Homeland Security, Secretary Jay Johnson, a letter calling for action on sanctuary cities. Many people in this country, I think, thought some action was being taken. Your letter makes it clear that that isn't the case.
No, it is very definitely not the case. And it's very unfortunate because I thought that what happened in San Francisco would be a wake-up call to this administration that tolerating sanctuary city policies in a few hundred cities across the country is very detrimental to the safety of American citizens. But now we have seen murder after murder after murder by people who are not lawfully present in the United States taking place since Kate Steinle's tragic death in San Francisco a few months ago.
Congressman, if I may interject with just a few of the dates and some of the victims that you noted in your letter to Secretary Johnson. If we could have this. You referred to Kate Steinle murdered on July 1st. Then on the 24th of July, Marilyn Ferris, raped, tortured, murdered, an illegal immigrant charged with those crimes. July 27th, an illegal immigrant arrested and accused of killing 60-year-old Margaret Kostelnick in Ravenna Road, Ohio. July 30th, a 2-year-old girl brutally beaten by an illegal immigrant in San Luis Obispo County, California. And the list goes on, as you point out in your letter. Is there any prospect of a meaningful response from this administration to your letter and that of Chuck Grassley? This is an administration that's made itself clear it will not enforce law.
Well, it's very discouraging. In fact, just today, the Associated Press released a report showing that deportations of those unlawfully present in the United States is at its lowest level since 2006, notwithstanding the administration's claims that deportations are up. That is clearly not the case. And they said, well, they're going to emphasize deporting criminal aliens, but in fact, they're also at their lowest level of deportation since he took office. So this is very discouraging, and it's a real public safety issue that this president could do a lot about, and a lot about immediately, to make Americans more safe.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, a couple of quick subjects to touch upon. One is the announcement by the administration by the end of this month, 6,000 inmates in federal prisons will be released under the new sentencing guidelines. Your reaction?
Well, what's unfortunate about those sentencing guideline changes is that they were made retroactive and apply to anyone, whether they committed a nonviolent crime or a violent crime. So I wrote to the department, to the Attorney General, and asked for a list of those who are being released into my congressional district. We took that list. The very first name on the list was somebody who had been convicted of murder. Right. That is a very serious, violent crime. So we need to do criminal justice reform, but we need to do it here in the Congress in a bipartisan way where we establish the rules and not allow a commission like this to act. And secondly, we need to make sure that we're not releasing violent criminals before their time has been served.
More than violent criminals, potentially terrorists being brought in, and as you have noted and alerted the public to the danger, Syrian refugees, as many as 10% estimated by some, to be Islamic State terrorists posing as refugees. You're going to hold hearings how soon?
Well, we were going to hold them tomorrow, but some scheduling problems with some witnesses has caused us to delay it. But as soon as we can get that back together, we're going to hold that hearing. And again, Lou, when they announced this, the Secretary of State kindly called me the day before the announcement was made to let me know of this increase and assured me that all of the precautions were taken for security checks on these people, but they cannot answer the question, how do you do security checks in Syria, where the country is in total disarray? We have no police presence there to be able to do that kind of check, and we're already the most generous country in the world in terms of immigration of refugees. 2/3 of all the refugees referred by the UN are admitted into the United States. We do not need to increase that number, and we certainly shouldn't do it where there's a credible risk of terrorism. You
should be by now. Well, you should be accustomed to the president's unilateralism on a host of issues. I know you're not. Let me wrap this up by Kevin McCarthy. He looked like the preordained Speaker of the House. He has committed a blunder of epic proportions. Can he still prevail, and would the party support him? Would the conference support him as Speaker?
Well, we'll find out the answer to that on Thursday. The most important thing here is that we look at the candidates. There are 3 candidates that are offered, and determine which one is going to do the most to unify the party, do the most to advance
Does he have your support?
Move our I have not announced any support for anyone yet, and I'm going to pursue this process because I want to hear from each of the candidates who are going to move the bills. You and I have talked many times about our step-by-step approach to immigration reform.
You're not going to declare your support for a candidate, and you're not going to answer my question about Kevin McCarthy. So I'm going to say, so that you do not strain your voice further, as suffering as you are from a cold, I'm going to have to say thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Lou.
And let you off the hook on that question. I was sure you would answer that just straightforward.
Well, I want to hear who's going to move those immigration bills to the floor. And we'll wait to get that.
Mr. Chairman, good to have you with us. Take care of that cold. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Lou.